there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm doing the start of another reading vlog. A couple of months back I did a video where I talked about 5 romance books that I thought would be 5 stars, and instead of just doing a follow-up video, I decided for that video I'm going to do a follow-up vlog where I kind of talk about each book I'm reading and my thoughts as I'm reading them rather than review them later. I'm currently not in my normal filming spot. I am in Oregon visiting my in-laws, so that's where I am currently, and I thought this would be the perfect time to get some of my reading in. And so currently I started one of the books from this video called Hold You Close by Corinne Michaels and Melanie Harlow. I love both of those authors, and earlier this year I read another book by this author duo and I fell in love with it. I think the title was Imperfect Match and it was a friends to lovers romance, but this time I started Hold You Close, which is another one that they co-wrote together. And the premise of this book really intrigued me. Right now I'm 10% in and we kind of got an introduction to these two main characters named Ian and London, who they've known each other their whole upbringing. So London is Ian's sister's best friend. So it's like a sibling best friend romance, and they went to prom together and they had one night together. But the next day after prom, Ian showed up at a party with another girl and basically broke London's heart. And ever since, they've really hated each other, and it has been 17 years since they went to prom together. Now even almost 2 decades later, they still really hate each other. But they're brought back together when Ian's sister passes away along with her husband in an accident, leaving all of their children orphaned. And they left the children to Ian, but he has no idea how to raise kids because he owns a nightclub in Vegas, and it's actually London who spends more time with those kids and the family. And so I think they're going to raise these kids together. It's kind of a second chance romance, but also a hate to love, and also them being single parents and raising these kids together. So I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I'm 10% in and I'm already really enjoying it. I really like Corinne Michaels and Melanie Harlow's writing. It's really seamless together. You can't tell who is writing where, and so I really can't wait to see where the story goes. So I'm going to get more reading done and I will come back and update you later. Okay, so it's now Thursday, August 29th, and I've made more progress in Hold You Close. I'm now 50% done. It is not too long of a book. I think it's under 300 pages. Like I was saying yesterday, it's about two people who are having to raise these kids together. They don't like each other. They had a romance when they were teens, and now they're basically in each other's lives in their 30s. And I was hoping that this would be more slow burn. They started having romantic relations kind of early on in the book, and it seemed out of the blue, like they hate each other, but then all of a sudden they're kissing. And I'm not sure if that's something I love. I was hoping for a really slow burn romance with some buildup and an emotional connection before any kind of physical things happened. But unfortunately at the 50% mark, that's already happened. And so that's a little bit of a letdown for me. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me. It just kind of lowers my enjoyment just a little bit. I was just hoping there would be a little bit more of an emotional buildup to their sexual encounters, and that there would be a little more history unraveled before that and a little bit more resolve of what happened. But we haven't gotten that yet. I'm assuming by the end we'll have some kind of resolution to what happened when they were teens. But right now I'm just not really feeling their emotional connection because I'm not really seeing it. I just see the physical. But I do really like the premise of them raising these kids together. And it's a really emotional topic and I feel invested in that portion of it. So I'm hoping that the rest of the story kind of catches up for me and I start feeling connected with everything. But I am enjoying it. I wouldn't say at the moment it's a 5-star read for me, but that could change by the end. So right now it's about 9 a.m. It's pretty early still. Since we're out of town, I think my husband and I are going to take our daughter to a place called Wildlife Safari. So it's an outdoor zoo, so none of the animals are in cages and you drive through it like a safari and get to see all the animals. So I think we might do that. So I'm going to try and get some more reading done and then I will come back and update you later. Okay, so it is many hours later. Excuse the terrible lighting. The sun has started to set and so I don't have any natural light. But I did finish Hold You Close earlier this evening, and this one to me was a bit of a letdown. I was pretty disappointed because I loved this author duo's most recent release, and this one was released last year, so I figured I would also enjoy it, but this one to me just was a little bit of a miss. I loved the premise and I thought it had the makings to something I would love because it's about a second chance romance, enemies to lovers, single parents forced to raise these kids together. Those are all aspects of stories I think I would really enjoy, but for me it didn't really work here. I really didn't like our main hero named Ian. I thought he was a real jerk and I didn't really buy their romance. I didn't buy his love for London. It just made me think that he was a little bit inauthentic, and I wish we got to see a little bit in the past more to what made their romance in the first place. And like I said earlier, I wish it had been a slow burn romance because I feel like they jumped to the physical part of their relationship really quickly without us getting much emotional connection beforehand. So for me, this one was actually a 3-star read. So it was definitely not a 5-star read, which I'm bummed about. But I'm still glad that I read it. I really do like both of these authors, and I do think it was written really well. I just think the story wasn't quite for me. So I don't know how much I would recommend this one, but I'm hoping that my next read is definitely better. So I'm gonna end here for the night, but I will come back when I pick up my next book for this vlog. Okay, so it's Friday, September 6th, and I've started my next book for this reading vlog, and I started Good Boy by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen. This is the first book in the WAG series. In the WAG series is a spin-off of the duet Him and Us, which you guys know I absolutely loved that sports romance. It is a male-male hockey romance, and it won my heart. I think I read them during like Smutathon and fell in love. And this follows Jess, who is the sister of one of the heroes in the Him and Us duet named Jamie. His sister is Jess, and she is planning their wedding. Basically, she had a one-night stand with the best man named Blake, and they are meeting back up at this wedding, and she really doesn't like him, but she can't resist him, and he really likes her, and he's super goofy. He's the ultimate bro, but has a really soft side to him. And basically after the wedding they part ways, and they are brought back together because Jess is going to nursing school in Toronto, and that is where the main characters of the duet live, as well as Blake. That's where the hockey team is. And they're brought back into each other's lives, so you know that's where the romance is going to start. So far I'm 33% done, and the book is 270 pages, so I'm about 90 pages in, and I'm really liking it so far. I love the banter between Jess and Blake. So I can already tell I think this is probably going to be a 5-star read for me. If it continues down this trajectory, I think I'm going to love it. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as the duet, but it's so good. It is such a good sports romance, really funny, and I like that they're not too long. Under 300 pages is really consumable. So I'm going to read more, and I will update you guys later. Okay, so it's several hours later, and I just finished Good Boy by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy, and I absolutely loved this book. I flew through it. I thought I would update you guys earlier, but I ended up just powering through and finishing the book. I couldn't put it down. It's just really, really good. Like I said, it's under 300 pages. It's only 270 pages, so it's a really quick read. And I just loved the romance between Blake and Jess, so this one to me was just perfect. It didn't have a lot of drama to it, so if you are looking for a more dramatic kind of conflict in there, it doesn't really have one. It was just an overall really sweet and steamy romance. Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen definitely know how to turn up the steam. I remember loving Us and Him by them because I just loved all aspects of it. It had the romance, it had the steam, and this is no different, and I really cannot wait to pick up the next book in the series. So I'm really happy that after reading the first book that was a 3-star, I'm so happy to report that this one is definitely a 5-star read. So when I pick up my next book for this vlog, I will come back and update you guys. Okay, so it is now Tuesday, September 17th, and I can't believe it is over halfway through the month of September. This month has been flying by. But I did end up picking up Let's Get Textual by Tegan Hunter, and I am over halfway through it. This is about two main characters named Zach and Delia, and they have this meet cute because Zach accidentally texts her and he has the wrong number, and the two of them have this like banter back and forth, and they start this texting relationship without actually knowing each other, and eventually they do meet in person and a relationship starts. And at first I was not loving this. In the beginning part it was just text message exchanges, and I wasn't really feeling the heat between them, and I wasn't sure if this was going to be a read for me. But as soon as they met up in person and the relationship started, I fell in love with them. I just love them together. They are both so quirky and nerdy, and Zach is such a swoon-worthy main character. He wears glasses and he just sounds super hot. So I'm really enjoying it, and I have a feeling that their steam level is going to be through the roof. And I'm really excited to finish it, so I'm really hoping it's going to be at least a 4-star read, but hopefully 5-star because I predicted it to be. And I was recommended this by Happily Ever After Thoughts, I think is her channel name. I'll link her down below, but she mentioned this book and it just sounded so good the way she recommended it. So that's why I put it on my 5-star predictions. So I guess we will see if it ends up being one. And other than that, today I've been working on my Instagram a lot, and I've been having a lot of fun. I got some inspiration from Kayla from Books and Lala. A while back she did a video talking about her mood boards, and I got really inspired to make some of my own. So I'll put a few of them here. I only made a few of them, and I am really loving them. It's just a way for me to be a little bit more creative, and I love those types of things. I'm really excited to be implementing these on my Instagram as well as my brand new Twitter account. So if you guys didn't already know, I made a Twitter. I'll link it down below. but I figured it'd be a great way for me to participate in some of the readathons that have a lot of discussions on Twitter and to interact with more authors. So I'm really excited about it. I don't really know how to use Twitter, so I gotta figure that out. But yeah, enough rambling. I will come back and check in with you guys later when I do more reading. Okay, so it's a few hours later and I just finished Let's Get Textual by Tegan Hunter. And this one was such a surprising read for me. When I started it, I didn't think I was going to love it, but then I fell head over heels for this couple and I gave it 4.5 stars. So even though I didn't give it quite 5 stars, I would definitely still consider this a win because on Goodreads I gave it 5 stars. But for me, I knocked off a 0.5 star because there was this weird quirky thing in there that didn't really mesh well with me. The main hero buys a baby goat because the heroine loves goats. So he gets a pet goat and it's clearly not fit for like house living, and they become obsessed with this goat and they do weird things with this goat, and then the ending involves a goat. It was just too much goat for me. Like, goats are cute at a farm, but it was a little strange, I thought, as an addition. So for that reason, I knocked off 0.5 star. But beside that, I loved this story and I really can't wait to finish on with the series. So I will see you guys when I read my next book. Okay, so it is Tuesday, October 22nd, and it's a little bit before noon. This morning I picked up From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, which is my 4th book that I need to read for this vlog. And I put this one off forever because, let's just be real, it is over 500 pages and a 500 and something page romance just really intimidates me. But today I bit the bullet and I picked it up, and right now I'm a little over 20% of the way in. It centers around figure skating, which I really like so far. I love watching figure skating, so I'm not surprised that I'm enjoying reading about it. Our heroine in this story, she is a figure skater and she used to be set to be a pro, but unfortunately her career was kind of cut short when she had, I think, a really bad partnering with her old partner, and I think he kind of screwed her over, and ever since she hasn't been doing it competitively. And she's always had this rivalry with this really famous figure skater named Ivan, and his family owns the skating rink that she works at, and she's also best friends with his little sister, and so she's always been in his life, but they have this rivalry, and all of a sudden he needs a partner because his partner is no longer with him, and his coach asks her to be his new partner, and she's pretty hesitant because clearly they don't get along. And the first thing about ice skating, if you're doing it in doubles, you have to have trust there, and if they really don't like each other, the trust isn't there. So our heroine has to decide if she's going to skate with him, and of course she does decide to do that, and it's going to be their romance. If it's anything like The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, it's going to be a really slow burn romance, and I'm assuming kind of a grumpy hero. I really like our heroine. I think she has such sass and spunk to her. Really independent woman. I really like her. I haven't gotten to see much of Ivan yet, so I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to be like, and I know it's going to be a hate to love romance, which I do love the enemies to lovers trope. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going to do some more reading today and I will come back and update you guys later. Okay, it's a few hours later. It is now 3:30 and I am halfway done with From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, and so far I'm really enjoying this slow burn romance. I was laughing out loud several times at the banter between our two main characters, Jasmine and Ivan. It's one of those playful enemies to lovers where I don't think they genuinely hate each other, but they really just like to tease each other, but deep down I think they like each other, and that's going to be the basis of our romance. You can already tell that their walls are breaking down, but they're just trying to keep that persona of hating each other up, but deep down they're becoming friends, and I'm really excited to see where their romance goes, and I can already see the chemistry building between them. The only thing I wish was different, and I felt the same way about The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, is the stories are only told through the heroine's perspective. We only see Jasmine's perspective. We don't see through Ivan's eyes, and I love stories that are told through both the hero and heroine's perspectives. I like being able to understand how both people are thinking and what their feelings are. So if I could change anything, I think that would be the only thing. But the single perspective definitely isn't taking away from my enjoyment of the story. I still gave The Wall of Winnipeg and Me 5 stars, and it was only told through our heroine's perspective. So it's not going to prevent me from giving this 5 stars if I end up really loving this story. And since it's a slow burn romance, I really have to wait until their romance kicks in, because that's when I really know if I'm going to love it or not. It's all about the romance and whether or not I can buy their chemistry together. So far I can tell that I think their romance is going to be really good, and I haven't heard anyone say anything negative about this story. Everyone who's talked about it has absolutely loved it. I don't know if I'll update any more tonight. My husband is going on a night flight any minute now, and I'll be with Avery all evening, and then after I put her to bed, I'll just be reading before I go to sleep, but I'll definitely update you guys in the morning. Okay, so it's now Wednesday, October 23rd, and earlier today I finished From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, and oh boy was this a beast of a book. Like I said, it was over 500 pages, so I wasn't able to finish it last night. I got to like the 75% mark last night and just finished it up this morning. And in typical Mariana Zapata fashion, this was a super slow burn romance, and the romance didn't really start until the very end of the book. I still really liked the build up for Ivan and Jasmine's romance, and I really liked the banter back and forth. Instead of an enemies to lovers, this was more an enemies to friends to lovers. So they definitely stopped hating each other at a certain point and became friends, and then the friendship blossomed into more of a romance. And I did really enjoy this, but I do think that Jasmine was a hard character to love. The things that I liked about her, I also really didn't like about her. For instance, she was really hardworking and determined, but she was also really stubborn and she didn't know when to stop. So she would push herself past her limits for no good reason. And I just didn't really like that a whole lot. And so that started to grate on me just a little bit. But I really liked Ivan as a character, and I kind of wish we had seen his perspective because I think I would have fallen in love with their romance more. With that said, I still really liked the book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. So it wasn't a 5-star read for me like The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. But overall, I just thought it was a really good read. It just wasn't a brand new favorite for me like it was for so many other people. But if the premise of this book interests you at all, I would highly recommend picking it up just because it was a really good read. Now that I finished this book, I will come back and update you guys when I start my next one. Okay, so it's Thursday, October 24th, and yesterday after I finished From Lukov with Love, I started Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino, and this is one of her older titles. I believe it was published in 2015, and I didn't like her most recent publication that came out this year, but I loved 2 of her previous books that came out a couple of years ago. So I was thinking that because this was one of her older titles, I would probably rate it 5 stars, and I was going to update you guys when I made some progress, but I just could not stop reading it, and I'm already at almost 90% finished, so I apologize for not updating sooner, but I just breezed through this book, and it's been taking everything in me not to just finish it before updating you guys. And I thought I knew what the premise was about, but once I started reading, I realized I was kind of off on that. It's about Matt and Grace, who they went their senior year together to NYU, and they roomed right next door to each other in the senior housing, and they became best friends, but of course a romance blossomed. They were in this deep, passionate love, and by the end of that year, life kind of tore them apart, and due to circumstance, they parted ways, and now it's been 15 years, and Matt is a divorcee. He works for National Geographic as a photographer, and one day he is on the subway and he sees Grace, and it's been 15 years since he's seen her, and he really wants to see her again. He still has really romantic feelings toward her. So his boss recommends that he writes this ad in Craigslist for the missed connections, basically saying that he saw her, and somehow she ends up contacting him because one of her students, she is now a music teacher, says that he saw an ad that reminded him of her based on a tattoo that she has, and she probably never would have seen it otherwise because it was in a Craigslist ad. So she meets back up with Matt, and it is their kind of second chance romance and tackling some of the issues that tore them apart 15 years earlier. And oh my goodness, I am in love with this romance. I loved their romance back in college. I really resonated with these 2 characters, and their love for each other was so pure, and that was something I just really adored. And there's been a couple twists in the current timeline that I didn't see coming that I'm really enjoying as well. Like I said, I'm almost done with the book. I'm about 90% finished, and I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely an emotional read, like the other Renee Carlino books I read have been, and I think she does second chance romances really well because the 2 books I loved by her were both second chance romances about people who dated in their early young adulthood and then they broke up and got back together when they were at least in their 30s. And this is kind of the same scenario in that regard, and I think Renee Carlino does an amazing job writing these types of stories, whereas the one I didn't like of hers was not a second chance romance, and I didn't like that one as much. But this one is so good, and I'm really glad that I picked it up. I predict I'll be giving it 5 stars, but I guess we'll have to wait and see until the end if I still agree with that. So I'll come back and update you guys when I finish it. Okay, so it's several hours later, and I just finished Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino, and I was right. I absolutely loved this book. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It was such an emotional book, and I really like how it wrapped up as well. So now I'm going to go over the 5 books that I read for this video video, and I'm going to start with my least favorite and go toward my most favorite. My lowest rated one is Hold You Close by Corinne Michaels and Melanie Harlow. I was really bummed because I really loved Imperfect Match, which was also written by this author duo, and I loved it. So I thought I would love this one too, but unfortunately it just didn't really work for me, and I gave it 3 stars. Next up would be From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and this definitely is not a fail by any means because it is 4 stars, so I really did like it. The only thing was I wish it was told in dual perspectives because I really wanted to see Ivan's perspective and not just Jasmine's, and sometimes Jasmine's character kind of got on my nerves. But other than that, I really loved it, and I loved the enemies to friends to lovers. I really like that trope a lot, and I thought the figure skating element was a really unique twist on a sports romance. So I still really liked it, and it definitely was not a fail. Next up is Let's Get Textual by Tegan Hunter, and this one I gave 4.5 stars, and I really loved it. I found it to be really humorous, and I loved the romance between our hero and heroine. Their chemistry was great in and out of the bedroom, and I just really liked their romance. I think I knocked off half a point because there was a couple like random things I just didn't love that were kind of quirky in the story, but I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to finish this series. Next up is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was an emotional second chance romance. And then kind of tied for first place with that one would be Good Boy by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. And I'm not surprised that I loved this one because I read the Him and Us duet also by this author duo, and I absolutely loved that duet so much. Some of my favorite romances of the year. And this is a spin-off series called the WAG series, and it's the first book in it. I think it might only be a duet as well. This had some side characters in it from that duet, and I really liked both of them. This was the perfect mix of sexy and funny, and I loved that about it. And I really liked the main characters. I thought they were really good together. Their chemistry was amazing, and I liked that there wasn't any unnecessary drama, which I really appreciated. So overall, it was just like a perfect romance for me, and I could not recommend it more. But like I said, I think Good Boy and Before We Were Strangers would tie for first place because I gave them both 5 stars and really loved both of them. So overall, I think this video was definitely a success. I gave 4 out of the 5 books 4 stars or above. I only had one 3-star book, which is to be expected out of a handful of books. Not loving all of them is to be expected, but I did really enjoy or love almost all of them, so I'm really happy with that. And I did a great job kind of predicting what books I would love, and I think this is a really fun video idea, and I liked doing it vlog style. I got great feedback on the one that I did for my thrillers. I think from now on I'm going to do my 5-star follow-ups as vlogs just because it was a lot of fun. I love watching videos like this, and I know you guys do too. So let me know if you've read any of these books and if you agree with my opinions. Also let me know if you liked this style of video or if you'd rather me just do a sit-down video for my follow-ups. As always, I will link all these books down below, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye!